So have you seen one of those fancy mirror glaze cakes and looked at it and gone, damn, I bet that's really hard to make? Actually, it's not actually that difficult because everyone knows how to make a cake, right? Which is half of the job already. And once you learn how to make the glaze, which is pretty straightforward, you'll be making these mirror glaze cakes till the cows come home. Moo. But anyway, my point is, it's really straightforward. But here, let me give you a little sneak peek of it. So as you can see, we're making a ruby chocolate mirror glaze forest cake. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but it's okay. And if I piqued your interest, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to know when the videos come out, hit that bell as well and it'll let you know. So I think it's time to crack on. So the first thing we want to do is make the cake, and we need to preheat that oven to 160 Celsius or 320 Fahrenheit. So in the first bowl, we're going to need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Then we want 250 grams or 2 cups of plain or all-purpose flour, and obviously sieved. Next we want 400 grams or 2 cups of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar. Next we want 85 grams or 2/3 of a cup of cocoa powder. So set that bowl aside and grab yourself another bowl. So you're going to need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then you want 240 ml of buttermilk, which is 1 cup. And also you want 240 ml of vegetable oil, which is also a cup. And then lastly, you need 3 whole eggs. Did I say lastly? I forgot that cheeky pinch of salt as well. Oh wait, 2 pinches of salt. And then you want to whisk the egg mix together until those eggs, buttercream, oil has all incorporated. And not forgetting that salt as well. And before you decide to bind the two together, I kind of forgot something. Oiling and lining these with parchment paper. It does help if you kind of not forget the most important things. And if you're wondering how on earth did you do that so well, I'll show you. So grab yourself a sheet of parchment paper, fold it in half again, and then half the square. And then using that point, fold it over. Measure that on the tin from the center to the edge. Rip it. Ta-da! And if you're thinking, what about the waste? No, I'm just joking. You can actually use them up and use them on a tray, so don't waste them. So once your tins are all lined, set them aside and we're going to put the mix together. So, yeah, you kind of might want to get a bigger bowl as well. So pour the egg mix straight into the dry ingredients, once you've got a bigger bowl. And then carefully whisk that around until all the ingredients are incorporated. Well, so once that's nicely incorporated, what we're going to do is split that between the 3 tins nice and evenly. So once they're all evenly spread and you've stopped licking that spoon in the chocolate bowl, we're going to pop them into the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes until soft, springy, and spongy. So while that cake is cooking, we're going to make the cherry puree. So I got 12 ounces and 340 grams of... It's just easier to use a knife. Frozen dark sweet cherries. And these are already pitted, but I always like to make sure they are pitted. So just cut them in half, just to make sure, because nobody likes a broken tooth, right? And then pop it into your pan. And then we want 200 grams or 1 cup of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar. And then take it over to the stove and put it onto a medium heat, giving it a little mix. And cooking this down for about 20 to 30 minutes until nice and thick. Make sure you occasionally give it a stir as well. So as we're speeding through this today, we've actually got time to make the buttercream now. So grab yourself 2 blocks of soft, I guess we gotta wait. Because as always, I forgot to take out my butter. So once your cakes are cooked, take them out and we're gonna put them onto a cooling rack. So very carefully take the sponge, just picking up the parchment paper and popping it straight on the cooling rack. So once your bubbling madness has pretty much cooked out for about 25 minutes now, you want to take this off the heat and pour them into a container and then give them a good blend until smooth. And if you want to cool down this puree a little bit quicker, you can pop it onto a flat tray because you're increasing the work surface area, so it's going to cool down twice as quick. And all I've got underneath is just parchment paper. So set this aside to cool down. So next we want to do the buttercream, and we want 200 grams of icing sugar, which is 1 3/4 cups. Yeah, okay. I guess I run out. So finally, after searching the cupboards, we found some more icing sugar. We also want 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Also 50 grams or half a cup of cocoa powder. And then obviously, once your butter is finally softened up, which is about 226 grams or 2 sticks of butter. And if you want it in cups, it's 1 cup. Pop that straight into the bowl. And then you want to mix it together very carefully. Now, obviously, if your butter's a little bit more firmer like mine, it might take you a little bit of time to get this together. And if you need to, just add a tablespoon or 2 of milk just to help get it going. So once your buttercream is bound together, we're going to add about a tablespoon of that beautiful cherry jam, or shall I say cherry puree. So now you've got your puree and your buttercream, time to assemble that delightful cake. So you want to find a base to put it on. So we've got ourselves a nice beautiful marble slab here. Once your sponge is cooled down, just carefully take it off the parchment paper, popping it in the middle, and then you want to spread on some of that beautiful buttercream over the top, followed by a little bit of that cherry puree as well. And then on goes the next layer, repeating the process with the buttercream and the cherry puree, and then that final tier. And then using a serrated knife just to trim off the edges, just to straighten the cake up. And then using the rest of that buttercream just to put around on the edges to straighten it all up. So finally, once it's all smoothed out, we're going to pop this in the freezer for about an hour to 2 to really nicely firm up. But you don't want to freeze it all the way through, but just really get that nice and cold. So next we need to start making that ruby chocolate glaze. So we've got some ruby chocolate here, and we're going to need 350 grams or 1.5 cups into a mixing bowl. So set that aside, and what we're going to need is bugger. So after retrieving your condensed milk, or technically getting another one, we're going to need 200 grams, which is 7/10 of a cup, or let's just say 7 ounces. And next we want 300 grams of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar, which is 1.5 cup. In addition, we want 200 ml of water, which is 4/5 of a cup. And then 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, which I already put in, I just kind of made a mess. So pop this onto a medium heat on the stove and bring it up to the boil. So while that's coming up to the boil, we need 19 grams of gelatin powder or 2 tablespoons. But I'm not using gelatin powder today. I'm actually using platinum gelatin leaves instead. So we're going to need 7 of those bad boys. And once you've got your 7 gelatin leaves, you want to make sure you've got cold water. If you have warm water, it'll start dissolving in here, which is not good. So make sure you pop your gelatin leaves in here, all submerged in the water. If you need to snap them in half, go for it. And then just carefully, one by one, submerge them into the cold water. So that should take about 2 minutes to really soften up. So it's finally come up to the boil. And if you find that there's a little bit of froth on the top, just get a ladle and skim it off. So the gelatin is nice and soft, so squeeze out the excess moisture. So give that a little stir, make sure that gelatin is dissolved down into the liquid. Pour the mixture over the chocolate, and then give that a mix until it's all dissolved down as well. And before you know it, you should have a nice glossy glaze. And if you were expecting a really nice bright pink, you could always add a little bit of gel dye to it if you want to. And to make sure it's totally smooth, just give it a quick little blend, but not much. You don't need to whiz it up too much, otherwise you're going to create too many bubbles. So just give it a quick little blitz, and that's all you're going to pretty much need. And then just give it a tap just to take out any excess bubbles. And if you need to use a ladle, skim it off, that's fine. So the next thing we want to do is make sure this cools down to about 32 Celsius or 95 Fahrenheit. So once the glaze is cooled down and the cake is out of the freezer, pop it onto a cooling rack with a tray underneath to catch the rest of the glaze. And then it's time to glaze up that beautiful bad boy. So we're going to do a second coat, so we're just going to pop this in the fridge for about a couple of minutes and then bring it back out and then coat it again. And then back out for a second coat. And then back in the fridge for another 15 minutes to really give it a good set. So after a bit of challenge getting it off the cooling rack, it has turned out an absolute little treat. And you can see that beautiful mirror glaze. So it's time to garnish it with just a little few berries. So we're just going to decorate the top very carefully, just to give it that finishing touch. So there we go. There is our delightful mirror glaze ruby chocolate forest cake, and it turned out absolutely fantastic. So you can even see that beautiful glaze, that beautiful shine. the raspberries, the blueberries and strawberries just to finish it off. Absolutely fan-lumentastic. So we're going to get a little sneaky slice out of this, and obviously we're going to try it. Obviously you want to let this set in the fridge for a little touch longer, but we're going to have a little cross-section right now. So taking a very small slice because, you know, you got to watch the old tum-tums. Goodness me, look at that little gem right there. So we only got a little sneaky slice because I didn't want to have too much today. But this is going to be a very much enjoyment. I could already feel the sponge actually be really nice and moist. So here we go. That beautiful ruby chocolate is giving it that nice little tartness to complement the forest cake. The chocolate going through there, nice and moist, gooey. Oh my goodness me. What an absolute little treat. And I'm not a huge chocolate lover, but this, oh my goodness me. It's a delight, it really is. So that's all we got time for, my friends. And I will see you not next week, but the week after, as I'm taking some time off as I need to recharge the old batteries. So if you want to try this recipe, feel free to check it out in the description box below. If you like the video as well, feel free to give a like, subscribe to the channel, always appreciated. And if you want to go check out my Twitch, but I won't be there next week apart from Monday, which is Monday to Thursday, live 10 AM Mountain Time. So feel free to come and stop by. Link is in the description box below. But I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day, my friends. Stay safe, awesome, and amazing.